I'm glad that the generation now is shying away from dating app. Now they're shifting to wanting to meet their partner in person on Instagram. Like anyone could DM them and like have a conversation, and on dating apps that they can just swipe on whoever and go on as however many dates as they want. They're over that because they know what that produces. We met on a dating app, so I'm not saying that dating apps are bad, but they are at this point harder to navigate because there is a lot of catfishing people on there, scams, there's people cheating on people.
Beyond the perfect we discover through our flaws, we complete each other. Better than perfect we stay. Through every fault we find our way.
All right, welcome back to the Better Than Perfect podcast, where every week we share with you how two imperfect people helping each other grow equals one better than perfect relationship.
That's right.
And today we're going to be talking about situationships.
Yes.
That they're dying. There's going to be a funeral for situationships, I heard.
They're a thing of the past, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
I guess the younger generation is over the, what would you call it? Like the wishy-washy.
Ambiguity. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like trying to get straight to the point, which like we've done some episodes on like dating and, you know, being mysterious and things like that. And I'm not saying that those things don't still apply.
Right.
But I think that the end of the situationship is a good thing because I feel like it gives people an excuse to not put all their eggs in one basket or like normalize that sort of thing. And I think that when they define like a situationship, I would say it's like being confused and not knowing what you are, like well into like dating the person, not like 3 dates in. That's not a situationship, but like a few months in and you don't know where you guys stand.
Yeah.
And you've like made strives towards being in a relationship, but you haven't defined it and you haven't asked questions. That's what I would call a situationship. And so I still think in the beginning, first few dates, you don't want to be like, I'm looking for a relationship and my next husband or, you know, you don't want to go out the gate with that. But I kind of like that the situationships are coming to an end because I feel like the situationship itself in general has kind of degraded committed relationships and potentially even marriage.
Right.
Because it's normalized this sort of like, let's just both be free for like a long time. And it's confusing. And like, if you really like somebody who doesn't want to commit, you want to still keep them around. So you're maybe like hanging on when they're not giving you what you want. And then the other person, you know, might be afraid to commit, like wants to, but isn't doing it, or they don't plan to, but they're not telling you. So it's just completely confusing and doesn't really help anyone, obviously. It just wastes a lot of time. So I kind of like that the younger generations are like, no, I'd rather either be single or like, we're going to date sort of thing. Because I think that that's essentially how it should be. Like, you either like this person enough where you're going to commit and you're going to try it out with a relationship, like be official, or you're going to be single and you're going to move on to your next dating situation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it takes 3 months to figure out if you like somebody enough to exclusively date them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just in general. I mean, we talk about on the podcast about moving things along in the timeline quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think that's good to do, even though some people would say, oh, that's not good. It is good because you need to figure out what are you doing so you don't waste a lot of time too. Because what ends up happening is relationships that are like a couple of years, few years old, that's where it's sort of this gray area, like you're comfortable with status quo.
Right.
And you're not even in the best mindset at that stage in the relationship, usually to decide if you want to commit for marriage. at that point, because it's better when it's actually more recent and you haven't fallen into a rut. With a lot of people fall into ruts, but the same thing even just with dating is that if you're seeing someone, sort of seeing them for months at a time, then why would you commit? Why would you make it official? So, but then nothing advances, nothing happens past that. And then it causes all kinds of drama, because then are you actually free? One person thinks that they're in a committed relationship, the other person doesn't, but no one said anything either way, right?
Right. Well, and I would blame women. And here's why.
Okay. Yeah.
Because even though men are the keepers of their relationship, like you said, essentially, if we give them a relationship without making them commit, they're not going to. So they're going to keep you in this limbo.
When relationship, you mean sex. If you give them a sexual
or
relationship.
even if you're available to hang out, or they're getting basically relationship
benefits.
Benefits.
Sex. So.
Well, but not just that, because on
the man side, right? Because normally we would say a woman's getting a relationship benefit, like the boyfriend benefits, but I mean, it is obviously it's more than that, but that is the thing that has the leverage that the woman is holding, right?
Right.
So
so I would say that it is women's fault that situationships even happened, because back in the day too, women were more persistent on being courted, and did not give men really the time of day unless they were properly courted.
Sure, right.
And then we kind of got rid of that, and men got kind of lazy. But it's not even their fault, because if we're giving them everything,
right,
and they're not having to court us, then they're going to think it's okay. And so they're not going to commit, because like you said, why should they? And that's honestly what I feel like is also contributing to men not wanting to get married.
Right.
Because if they have a wife, basically, benefits.
Yeah, then there's
why are they going to do it? And if your relationship started out as a situationship where you gave him relationship benefits when you weren't in one, why is he going to take an even bigger commitment when he was afraid of taking that commitment? You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm saying that I do think a lot of this is women's fault, because, and I understand as a woman, and I have been in situationships before we got together in some sort of way.
Yeah.
So I understand why it happens. I understand when you want to be with somebody that you give them more than they really honestly should get in the timeline of the situation, or what you're getting back. But at the same time, we have to realize that we are kind of perpetuating the situationship as women by doing that. And so we think it's scary to have boundaries with men and be no, I want to go on a nice date, or no, we're not going to do this until we're official, or I'm I need to be in a relationship to do such and such. That feels more scary to women. It feels they're going to run the men off. And it might, honestly, because at this point, men have gotten, again, lazy, where they're oh, well, I can go find some other girl that's going to give me girlfriend benefits without having to make her my girlfriend.
But then now that girl's saying no.
Right.
So that's how it stops, right?
Right.
Exactly. Because then it's you can't just run off somewhere else. But yeah, I think that's true. Well, because also to not to just pile on the women, but I mean, most men are okay with a situationship. Most women are not so much, right? So I mean, I was in a long, a 3-year situationship, and the way that it went on was, I just didn't say anything. I just showed up at whatever city, just whatever. I disappeared, and then they came back, and
no questions were
there's no
asked.
questions. No questions about my marital status. No questions about where I actually, like, was I seeing anyone else or anything like that? No questions like that.
Well, side note, if someone's meeting up with you, they shouldn't have to ask if you're married.
Well,
They
no,
probably should ask if you're seeing someone else, but they shouldn't have to ask if you're married, because most people will assume if you're dating them, you shouldn't be married.
I mean, in that situation, though, the context is that we're going to places, but never to the city I lived in. Always to other places.
Yes, but you still...
no, but yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, that was not that was back in the days, and that was not...
the bad John days.
Yeah, that was... I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that, yeah, you know, like, in that case, I was fine with it, because I'm like, okay, well, I can just come and go as I please, and there's no requirements on my part of anything, you know, so why would I mess with the situation, right? So that
you were comfortable in it.
I'm being honest. Like,
no,
this
yeah,
is like,
I appreciate
you know,
that.
it's like, so that, because I could, you know, try to pretend like that's not the case, but that was the case. It was like, and most guys are probably going to be like that. Like, most guys that would be in a situation where they're able to have women, right? If a guy is not able to get a woman or get a date or, you know, whatever, then obviously he has a different viewpoint on this. Like, he's going to definitely not like situationships, because it might be happening on the other side, where the woman is not committing, and he's like, what are we? Like, why does she keep on, you know, that, what was that? Remember that, the song, the, what is it? We saw.
You're like, what is it?
Well,
I'm like,
when we were young,
it was a song
that the band Offspring, Self-Esteem. Remember?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like that self-esteem song. It's like, the more you suffer, the more it shows you really care, right? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? That song, right? Where the girl is like just going off, and like
Doing
she just
whatever.
uses him whenever she wants to, but he just like hangs around. Like, that's the opposite side of a situationship. But for most of the time, a guy is fine with it, because who cares? So that's why a woman, it does come down to a woman to put a stop to it and be like, hey, look, what are we?
Yeah.
You know, I want to be a girlfriend, whatever. And then, of course, at that point, the man should have the captain of the ship talk, if he wants to actually get into a committed relationship, which will set the tone for the relationship, where he is the one who is the authority in the relationship, and you know, and he has that conversation. So that's all cleared up. So
Yeah. Well, I would hope too that, because I guess I would be a little concerned if a guy was trying to push a situationship, and then if I was like, so what are we? And then he's like, well, we can be together, but I'm the captain of the ship. I would be like, hold on. Like, I understand what you're saying, but you didn't even want to be the captain of this ship until now.
well, yeah, but like, look, but
Like,
but if
we
you
were in
want-
the situationship. We were in the dinghy, and
Yeah.
now you want to be the captain of the ship?
yeah,
Like, that I feel like would be hard to navigate in a way. Like, I'd be like, okay, but you went from not wanting to commit to now you want to take on full responsibility. Like, are you going to be able to do that?
right, yeah.
You know what I
see
mean?
that, yeah, I see that. But I mean, a guy should always be carrying himself in that capacity anyway, regardless of whatever situation he's in.
Yeah.
Because that's how you should act as a man, is that by de facto, I'm going to be the man in the relationship. If you're not doing that, then, you know, obviously having an explicit conversation of the captain of the ship is important, so that it's clear. But it should be coming across in the way that you're coming across in the relationship anyway. So, or
like how you
interactions.
behave.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I am glad that the younger generation is getting rid of this, because honestly, it was like my generation, millennials and Gen Z, I think.
Yeah,
or
more
maybe
so.
even Gen Z is kind of leaning more towards this though. But like, we unfortunately kind of started this. I mean, I can't think of it earlier.
No, what started it was a couple of things. It was dating apps first coming in.
That's true.
And Instagram, which is basically a dating app, right?
Right.
So So that what happened was because you had all this
Options now.
options
Yeah.
and it was fresh, right? I mean, when dating apps first came out, it wasn't like it is now.
Oh,
Where
no, I remember. I
it's
remember
just
when
like
Tinder first
it was just
came out.
normal people on them, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't like weirdos on them now. Like now it's. I'm not saying there's not any normal people on dating apps, but from the coaching clients that I talk to now, it's heavily skewed towards, is this girl trying to sell her OnlyFans on this dating app?
It's turned
Is this a
into different
bot?
things.
Is this Nigerian phishing scam?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a really weird girl that's like, why is she still on a dating app? And at this,
Oh, no, not one of those.
there's a lot of that. Whereas before it was just normal people, right? It's like, and also even when you went to your Instagram and someone DM'd you, slid into your DMs, it wasn't an automated message that someone spent 1,000 of them out. So it was like, so it was like the world was fresh and you could just like go from date to date, and there's plenty of options to look at. But now it's kind of changed, right?
Yeah.
And also what's happened too is that even what's happened that's changed now too is OnlyFans. One out of what was the stat? I think it was.
I don't know.
I forgot. I'd looked it up before, or I'd seen the stat because we were going to talk about it. But it's something like I thought it was like 30% of women under like 30 years old have an OnlyFans account. It's some insane number. It's like a number where you're like, what? But that's also changed the landscape with dating apps and with all these things where now people are like, okay, I would just rather be in a relationship, like, and know that I'm in a relationship. Like, because it's not this green field, there's all these options out there. Now it's like, I just want, like, that's not fun anymore.
Yeah. No, I think you're 1,000% right. Sorry, millennials, for blaming you. I think it is dating apps, actually. Now that you say that makes 1,000% sense in my mind. Because before, like, I remember when Tinder first came out. And, like, I feel like that was, like, the first one that really took off. Like, there were other ones before. I don't know the ones that, like, were around before Tinder. But I feel like Tinder was the one that, like, really blew up dating apps. And like you said, Instagram.
Because it was on your phone,
But I feel like, honestly, even early Instagram was, like, still very innocent back then.
Yeah.
Like, it was really just people that you knew. The filters were horrible, and like you're taking a picture of your smart water bottle. You know what I mean? Like, it was not what it was. Like, I remember when Instagram first came out. So
it's photos, like, for
exactly.
photographers.
Yeah, it was not what it is today. But I think 1,000% what you said is true, is that there suddenly became all these options. Like, it wasn't like you had to date like the person that you went to school with, or like someone from your job, or someone from your hobby. Like, now you could find somebody that, was maybe like one town over, and you didn't mind that it was like a 30-minute drive to see each other.
Right.
But you would have never like came across that person had it not been for dating apps. And then
that's true. Yeah.
Like, you have so many options, and then, you're like more picky in a way that can be bad. Like, I think being picky in the right way, we did an episode on this, I'm pretty sure, is not a bad thing, but it's got to be about like the core beliefs, not like, is he 6'3"? But now it's gotten even crazier. Now it is like guys are lying about their height because they don't want to be penalized, or they're changing their age so they don't want to be penalized, or doing whatever, and I'm not saying women aren't doing it either. Like,
no, it's an arms race, for sure.
Yeah, it's turned into this tool, honestly. And it definitely promoted the grass is greener over here, or no, it's over here, or no, it's over here. Like, it did make people commitment phobes because they had so many options. Like, they didn't feel like they were taking it seriously because, I could just swipe a little bit and get another date 30 minutes after the date I just went on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, no, I think you're 1,000% right. That is what caused situationships. And even though those are still around, I like that the generation now that's like dating is trying to get rid of that. And that I do feel like they're kind of prioritizing more like committing and like spending their lives with someone that and they take care of picking that person. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like they put effort into choosing the right person. And I feel like even if you're like, okay, I'm going to be single or I'm going to date, I think you should, if you're serious enough about somebody to commit, you should commit
Yeah.
and try it out rather than, you know, be in this situationship where eventually if you're in a situationship long enough, like you said, like I would think that the person that you were with would be like, this has gone on for a really long time. Like, what I need to say something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're in a situationship for months, like
Yeah.
5-6 months, you need to be like, what is going on? You
It
know what I
becomes
mean?
weird to say that though, because it's just like, you know, have you ever had it where you forgot someone's name
Yeah.
and then
You're trying to
and then
like,
you talk to them a couple like when you don't know someone's name, if the first or second time that you talk to them after that, you don't say, "Oh, sorry, I forgot your name when you told me like last week." That then it's not awkward, right?
Right.
But if you don't do that in the first or second time afterwards that you meet them, and you still don't know their name, then
you're in trouble.
like after 10 interactions, you're not gonna say, "Hey, by the way, the last 10 times we talked, I pretended like I knew your name, but I didn't know what it was. I forgot it. Like, what is it?" You're not going to do it. It's weird, right? So it's the same thing with the situationship. It's like now, you go farther enough down the road. It's like, what are we?
Right.
It's like,
why
what do you
didn't
mean?
ask
What are we?
earlier?
We've been doing this for like weeks or months, So
Yeah.
it seems weird at that point. So
Yeah.
that's how that
no,
happens.
you're
But-
right. You're right. But I do think it's a good thing. I actually saw this like TikTok earlier that had like 10 million likes, and it was essentially like promoting love and relationships and marriage, because it was talking about like, well, I say marriage, but it didn't specifically say it, but it was talking about like choosing somebody to spend the rest of your life with. And
Yeah.
it's like, and it made it, the way they worded it was just very, I mean, it really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's exactly how I feel about you.
Right.
But I think that that's why, like, what the younger generation's trying to get back to, like, they don't want these like situationships. They don't
Yeah.
want these temporary things. Like, they want somebody that's going to grow old with them. And most people do want that.
Right.
But it's like in this era of situationships and dating apps and getting another date as soon as you can, like swiping,
Right.
we have like lost that. Like we also thought it was cool to not care.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they didn't care, so I'm not going to care, and then nobody cares, and then you
Right.
are in a situationship for 6 months. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
And that's why, the title thing that you were talking about, how like situationships are for cowards.
Yeah.
We need to dive into that because it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like you said, even if you're in the phases of like getting to know somebody and you're still kind of unsure, like once someone is sure, someone needs to say something. Or like, even if you're not sure, you should be having a conversation.
Yeah.
And being like, hey, like I enjoy spending time with you, but I fear we're not compatible in this area. Like have an actual discussion
Yeah.
rather than like avoiding it because you want the benefits of like the good stuff, but you also don't want to talk about the messy stuff of like, are you good together? Like, do they want to be with you? Like,
Yeah.
like people are just avoiding that. And so they just stay in this limbo for way longer than they should. And then again, that just perpetuates this everywhere.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
apps perpetuate it.
Yeah.
But then like we were talking about with the women thing, like if women just give a man like a relationship without him having to commit,
Yeah.
then he's not going to take that step. And then like, yes, he might leave you, but if another girl's still doing that, it's going to give him the same thing and not ask questions, he's going to go
Right.
over there.
Yeah.
He's going to find someone who'll give him the, benefits, but he doesn't have to do anything. He's got to easy out. And like men want an easy out. That's why they are afraid of divorce. It's not an easy out.
Right.
That's why they're terrified of that.
Right. It's not exactly. That's a good point.
Man is going to love a situationship because it's an easy out. He can just be like, well, we were never officially together.
Exactly.
Like, how many women listening to this right now have heard a man say that? Probably every single one. So he's going to blame you.
Yeah.
For the reason he didn't commit anyway. So make him own up to it.
And really, a woman has to be the one that asks for the commitment. That's what I always say anyway, because the man does need the leverage to have the captain of the ship talk, and he needs to be the one that's the authority in the relationship, and the only way he has that leverage if the woman is asking him for their relationship. So she has to bring up the topic, and she has to basically be like, look, you can buy it, or you can leave the store. Like you're done looking, that's it. Like there's no try before you buy here, your trial period has ended.
Yeah.
She's got to do that because it's also backwards. Like if a guy asks a woman to be his girlfriend or committed relationship, then it kind of puts him in a more, like, it's not going to be as attractive to a woman. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of women would say, no, I'd rather the guy ask, or either could. But in reality, when we're being real about like a man being masculine, his natural instinct is going to be to not be in a committed relationship because he doesn't need to. He can get away with it, right? Mm-hmm. And so the woman is actually the one that needs to ask for the thing that she wants, right? Because if the guy wants the committed relationship, unfortunately, the subtext behind that is that this guy is desperate or needy, right? Mm-hmm. Even though that's not necessarily true, we know that that's not true. It communicates that subtly, and so it doesn't have the same effect if a woman does that. So in order to really end the situation, like you said, it has to be the women that have to really say, no, we're not going to do this. They have to not give it up. Like, we had that one guest.
Lana,
and she was like, what did she say? She said no
6 months or something.
Yeah, for no sex.
You were like, what? And then you were like, actually, I agree with you.
But it actually does make sense, right? I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow there. But maybe even if you're not that strict still, it's like, hey, if you're respecting yourself as a woman, as a lady, if you want to be treated like a lady, you got to be like, look, I don't just show up at your house.
Right, whenever you ask.
Like, we don't just like have casual sex. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you went on a date, things are going good, whatever, you had sex with the guy, but then it's like, but now it's like, all right, after that, then, okay, now what are we? Or like, or shortly after that, like a couple more dates, it's like, okay, I'm not going to just be a call girl for you. Like that doesn't happen, right?
Booty call.
That's what it has to be. So that's that. Otherwise, it's going to be situationship.
No, and I agree with you. Like there is something about like a woman asking like, what are we? And like having that conversation. Yeah. I agree with you. And I also think it's important for a woman to do it because a woman needs to learn how to vet in that way and have that serious conversation and know when to walk away from a man. Because obviously we've lost that by like women just staying with men that aren't committing to them. So I think by a woman having to ask like, what are we? Or like, I am ready for us to be in a committed relationship. Where are you at? And like, based on his answer, having to walk away if he's like, well, I'm enjoying how we are, like, which I'm not saying like instantly walk away from that. If you want to have a conversation, do that. But if you walk away instantly, I wouldn't be upset at you either because that's an answer essentially, right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I do think that is important because I think women, like you said, need to learn to cut that off. Like cut off giving girlfriend benefits to a man that has not like told you how he feels about you and committed. And like, you should ask him, like he should make you feel like he's invested in you and interested in you.
Right.
Like
where it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're confused,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely ask the question, obviously. But if you feel like it's mutual,
Yeah.
you don't really run a risk of asking, like, what are we? Or like,
Right.
I want to be in a committed relationship.
Yeah, you got to
know.
be a good fish. You know, it's like you got to feel
gotta lure
like
'em in.
when to set the hook.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a feel to it.
Yeah.
It's like when the first nibble comes, if you set the hook, you lose the fish, right? But if you
Yeah.
wait too long and then you try to set the
Then you
hook, then
just ate the
it's
whole-
gone.
yeah.
So it's like you got to kind of feel it. It's like, okay, is he ready? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you know, that's how it.
Yeah.
So-
So I do think it's important.
But then it does flip. It does flip when the guy does propose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in the committed relationship, then he's got to be like, okay.
Yeah. But I feel like at that
It's
point,
gets a
you
lot.
should know. But
Yeah, you should. I mean, you should definitely know before you propose. But the same thing, the girl should kind of know, okay,
right.
if
That's
I
what I'm saying.
tell this
she should
guy-
know.
yeah. But I mean, I guess in that situation, it can be kind of, you know, can put him to the test where he has to decide because he might have thought ahead of time, like, okay, well, this girl's just available when I want her. Like she doesn't have any.
Like, I don't have to do anything. I
Yeah.
just got to send a text message and she's over here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's easy.
Yeah. So now it's going to put him to the test and
Don't make it
make
easy
him
for him.
decide. Yeah.
Don't give him all the things that he has not got boyfriend privileges yet.
Yeah.
Don't give him the boyfriend privileges.
And again, a lot of the reason why women start doing this, I think, more so. I mean, there's the whole sexual liberation thing, but that I don't think that's even the thing. I think it has to do more with the dating apps and the dynamics of it. Is that when dating apps first came out, it was just guys and girls on there, and there was no. But then what ended up happening is that over time, it ends up sorting itself out where it's like, oh, most of these women are actually liking these guys, the top 10% of guys. And then those guys are realizing they got something special here. They can just play this game. This dating app is like, oh, why do I need to commit to any of these girls? I can just go and find a
Date
new
'em
girl
all.
to come over
Yeah.
every single night. I can have a new girl come over, right? And so those guys are the ones that all these women are getting into situationships with because they're like, well, I like this guy. He was the best one. So I'm going to wait for him. But they don't realize that there's all these other women that are doing the same
that you'll be
thing.
waiting forever.
Exactly. And it's created a situation where he can have the situation. Whereas before, without the power of the dating app, yeah, he could go out, like you would have guys that were players that were like, or pickup artists or whatever, and they could go out and they had the skills to go and pick up multiple women and sure, maybe they're not like seriously dating any woman, but that it wasn't just as easy as swiping. Now you could just be a good looking guy and you could just swipe and you could do that without specifically coming up with a plan and like developing the skills to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it started to become that thing. And then women settled for that situation because they wanted they started relying on dating apps and then they're like, okay, well, I want the guy that I'm attracted to. So if he's not going to give me anything more than at least some of his time, then I'll just take some of his time.
Right.
So
which is not good.
yeah.
Don't
So
do that.
you can't do
but I'm glad that the generation now is shying away from that. And I think they're also shying away from dating apps because a lot
Yeah.
of people are still trying to, like, now they're shifting to wanting to meet their partner in person. So I
Yeah.
think it is kind of shifting away from that. I think people are over it. Like you said, they're over the, like, on Instagram, like anyone could DM them and like have a conversation, and on dating apps that they can just swipe on whoever and go on as however many dates as they want. Like they're over that because they know what that produces,
Right.
because they've seen it from our generations and what has happened. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, no, I don't want that, which is good.
Right.
Because I think the direction that they're going in, like trying to meet more, like, look, we met on a dating app. So I'm not saying that dating apps are bad,
Right.
but they are at this point harder to navigate because there is a lot of, I mean, there's catfishing people on there. There's like, scams. There's people cheating on people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mess
Yeah.
on there. So like, I'm not saying that the dating apps don't work. Like, we wouldn't be here without the dating apps probably. So, because like, how would we have come across each other? But at the same time, I think that organically meeting somebody and like kind of going back to the basics of how people originally used to meet their partners and not being wishy-washy of like staying in a situationship with that person for a super long time. I think those are great things. I think like being open and talking about the things is the right way to go, and it saves everybody time. Like, I mean, the guy who's trying to keep a situationship, like, he obviously doesn't care about his time because he's just taking his sweet time.
Yeah,
but for women, like, we do care more about time.
Exactly.
And so, like, I think this is a good thing. I think it's good. I think, too, that women are also, like, getting to a point where they're like, I would rather be alone than in that situation for 6 months with someone that's not committing to me. Whereas before, you know, they were maybe trying to convince the guy that is dating a bunch of women that if she stuck around or if she did all these girl-friendly things that she's girlfriend material, and he would just change his ways.
Right.
But really the only way that you're going to do that is if you have the boundaries and you're like, look, I really like you. I enjoy spending time with you. I would like us to be officially boyfriend and girlfriend or a couple. Like, what are your thoughts?
Well,
you know?
Yeah, and think of it this way. It's like, I mean, maybe this is a good way to put it. It's like a professional athlete, right? Everyone knows a professional athlete has a short career, right? Like, hardly any professional athlete is going to have a long career. It's like maybe like 10 years for most, if even like 5 to 10 years. That's when they're in their prime, right? You know, they get drafted, right? Whatever the sport is. A woman in her youth is kind of like that. She's like a professional athlete. Like, she needs to be like, okay, I have a limited amount of time to get it. I'm getting a ton of offers right now because everybody wants some. I can't just be like, oh, I'll just like, I need a serious offer and take a contract and commit to this one, you know, because I have this opportunity at this point, right? So she's getting those offers where she knows that like that career is not going to last forever, and so she's putting a more value on that time and her time. She doesn't want to just entertain like some guy that she's casually dating for 2 years and lose 2 years of that career of when she can get the best offers from the best men. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing like a professional athlete, right? So she wants a long-term contract.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the time to get it. And that's the smart thing to do, is to realize that you've got, you know, like you're not going to get as many opportunities later on because unlike men, like women's window is smaller for that. Like, and so recognizing that you have to like not waste that time, if that makes sense.
No, I agree.
I try to put it in a delicate way, but
I think too, maybe another way to view it too is that I feel like with women, most of the times from the very first date, they put all their eggs in one basket. Yeah. Like, a lot of women that I know do not like to date multiple men at one time, even though I've told them to do that. Like, in the beginning.
In the beginning, yeah, for sure.
In the beginning, because
there's no
they go on one date and they're like, I'm not dating anybody else. But I'm like, you don't even know. And like, they end up kind of like romanticizing this man because he's the only one they're focusing on.
Yeah.
And so they end up kind of making him mentally into the man that she wants.
Right.
And so by that point, then she's giving him more and more, and then he isn't really having to do anything. And she's kind of like blinded herself by what she's projecting onto him.
Right.
And so then when it's like a few months in and they're still in that situationship, but she wants a relationship, maybe she hasn't said it,
right,
but she thinks it's like too early or whatever. By the time that she has that conversation and he's like, oh no, like I'm not that interested or whatever, she's completely confused because she's like, what do you mean? I was only like talking to you. Like, like I thought we had so much fun together, but it was like, it was part, she put all of her eggs in one basket, part she was like projecting what she's looking for onto that one person rather than dating multiple people and sorting out the things that you like and you don't like in those guys. Right. And like, what guy do you want to continue to go on a date with? What guy do you not? If you only have one guy, you're like, you either have to be like, I like him or I don't, kind of like a few dates in.
Right.
Whereas, you know, if you're dating multiple people in the beginning and you're going on a few dates here and there with different people, then it's easier to kind of weed it out, and you're not like projecting your fantasy onto like 3 different guys that you'd barely even know. Whereas if you're only dating one person in the very beginning, you're going to like put so much pressure onto that one person because you're like, you have to be the one.
Right.
You have to be the man that I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Rather than actually looking for him.
Unless that person is only dating one person too, right? Which doesn't, that's the thing, is like you don't know that, so you can't play it that way, you know, because.
But even then, I think it's not good for anybody to date. Like the first 3 dates.
Yeah.
You should not be dating only like one person. Like unless you like can handle not doing what I just said.
Right, exactly.
Then you can.
Right.
But
No,
a lot of
better,
women, it's hard to not do that.
To spread out your hopes.
The attention, honestly, because women like hyper focus, and we we tell ourselves stories. Like
it's also the availability, right? Because a guy kind of has to be like, okay, like you got to give a guy reasons to get in a committed relationship. One of them has to be to take you off the market, right? Because if you're just available all the time, if you're already acting like you're in a committed relationship, like you're not seeing any other guys, and you're giving this guy your time and sex, then he doesn't have anything to worry about. Right. He's like, oh, she's just waiting around for me all the time. She just sits there and she just waits. She just waits. And then when I call her up, she's there. Yeah. Right? It's like, but if he's like, oh, I really like this girl. She's the hottest one. She's the one that I vibe the most with. But then he's like, but, oh, damn, I think she's seeing other guys. Because, you know, she doesn't respond to my messages for a long time. And then, like, she was busy on Thursday night. Then he's like, oh, shit. I guess I should probably, like, figure out where this thing is going. Like, see if I can get her. Like, hopefully she'll want to be my girlfriend. And then, you see what I'm saying? Then he's motivated to do it. Whereas why would he be motivated the other way? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's true. Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think it's a good thing. And I think it's a good thing for marriage as well, too, like I was talking about, because I think that if you're more open about talking about these things and more open about, like, what you want, like telling somebody, like, I want to commit to you.
Yeah.
And going for that, then I feel like it leads to better outcomes when you do propose or get married. And, you know, you do take it more seriously because you're already taking relationships more seriously. Like we stopped taking relationships more seriously with the situationships.
Yeah, yeah.
And so kind of bringing it back, I feel like also will help marriage be taken more seriously as well too, because that's like the ultimate commitment, right? Like marriage is the ultimate commitment. Like that's the thing that you ask when like you do want to grow old with that person and like you're making that decision. And, you know, that's why we started the whole podcast, because we believe in it. And like, we know how beautiful this level of commitment is. And I think it's beautiful that like people dating now are taking even the relationship commitment, the boyfriend, girlfriend commitment seriously.
Yeah. Well, because it's kind of like we said in one of the other episodes where we were talking about the arranged marriages. It's like, it doesn't stop being so picky about who it is or what your options are, like, and realize that no matter who it is, I'm not saying that there's not better or worse people for you, but like you're still going to have to, majority of the journey is going to be like 90% of it is going to be in the relationship, the work that you're doing to like build it. So, you know, so many people were spending so much time focusing on the 10% of like starting with the right person, which again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend any focus on that. I think if you have the ability to pick, then you should choose wisely. But at the same time, you have to recognize that it doesn't matter. You could start with someone who you think is perfect for you. And then when you get in a relationship, you can ruin the whole fucking thing, or they could end up not actually wanting to grow and work on themselves or whatever happen. You know what I'm saying? Or you could start with someone who's not really the best match for you. But then like you guys work together and you grow together and you become a wonderful couple. So so I think that's why like it's so the sooner you get into that stage of doing that work, the better it is. And also the more committed you are, realizing that it's like you can't be like, oh, this person's not working out. We're just not a good fit. It's like, no, you didn't really do all the work in order to get like, you know, most people after after a couple of years, you're going to be like, we're not a good fit.
Right.
Because you haven't done the work, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
well, and everybody changes in different ways. And it's like, you have to realize that you have to go through that together.
Yeah.
Like that's part of a commitment. Even when you're a boyfriend and girlfriend, like people date for a long time. They date from like high school until they're out of college. Like your life changes a lot in that time frame.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, you have to realize that you're going to go through changes and you have to, like, all relationships require work.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that isn't the relationship for you. Because I think a lot of people, and also with the dating apps, it's like the grass is greener on the other side. They're like, oh, well, it might be easier with someone else. Like, I wouldn't have to deal with this problem with someone else.
Yeah.
And that like pushes them towards finding someone else.
Right, exactly.
But what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of the things that make people go, oh, well, I wouldn't deal with this with someone else. That doesn't excuse like abuse or things like that.
Yeah,
like those are obviously an issue.
Right.
And you should not be in a relationship like that. But like minor inconveniences or like going through a hard time or like facing things in your life that you haven't had to face and your partner's helping you go through them, like that is normal. And like that is going to happen. Like things are going to change. You're going to have to face them. But if you have a partner that wants to help you with those things and face those things with you, that is so important to a relationship. And that is like one of the core things, like you said, that you should be looking for. Like you should be looking for someone that like loving them is easy, but also you know that they're going to do the hard work with you.
Exactly.
Like they're not afraid of the hard work. You're not afraid of the hard work. Yeah. You're going to make this work because that's what it takes for all relationships, for being boyfriend and girlfriend and going into being married.
Yeah.
Like it's not sunshine and rainbows that we have like as society convinced ourselves that, oh, well, I'll just find somebody that does all the things that I want. Right. That doesn't exist. And I was one of the people who thought that before, you know? And I mean, like when I met you, it did feel easy and I did feel like we had a good connection. Yeah. But also you have helped me face some of the like darkest parts of myself that I couldn't even have faced on my own. And it's been hard, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Like I wouldn't want you to never do that. And then our relationship just be easy because you aren't shining the light on the things that I need to work on.
And not letting you become the best version of yourself possible, you know? Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
So like, I'm glad that they're getting rid of the grass is greener on the other side or like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like, yes, if you're going through something like abusive or things like that, yes, that's not how it's supposed to be. However, if you're having like just a hard time relating to each other, things like that, it's probably some other sort of issue. And you should look at some of her other videos because it's probably communication or resentment or who knows. And those things you can work through. And so again, like not to shy away from the situationship thing, but I think it goes into that by now people are being like, look, I want to be single or like, let's do this or let's don't.
Exactly.
You know, like not shying away from that because that's also part of doing the hard work. Like it's just the very
because you can't actually
beginning.
Start doing any of that if you're not actually in a real relationship.
Yeah.
If it's not defined, then you can't actually build anything. So you're just wasting time essentially, right? I mean, sure, maybe you're having a little bit of fun, but you're essentially wasting time, especially on the woman's side where she might have a more limited amount of time where she's got the best options that are available to her. And so she's got to make some choices. So so I think it's overall, it's a good thing and it's inevitable. I mean, the pendulum always swings one way and and then the other. So, you know, we were in a very promiscuous, like everything goes phase of, you know, for a while. And now it's swinging back to a more conservative, like, okay, there's a reason why like prudence and being a little bit more conservative in sexuality makes sense. You know, people are starting to see that, because when you see the other extreme and you're like, well, shit, I don't even have any friends. I don't even actually have any relationships. I don't even know, like, what is the fucking point? Then it's like, okay, well, I'd rather follow some rules.
Right.
And like have other people follow some of these rules too. And then there's some stability. There's some actual depth to things. It's not just everyone has as much freedom as they, you know, so like, because there's always a trade-off. Like you've got freedom and you got security. And those things are at different ends. And when you want more freedom, you're going to lose security to do it. And you want more security, you're going to have to give up some freedoms in order to get security. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So
No, you're not wrong.
yeah.
And that's a good way, I think, to round it out. But we did get jinxed.
Yeah, we did.
But it's my fault. I come on here, we do a whole episode about me being avoidant, and then I still am avoidant. Way to go, Nicole.
Hey.
But no, I mean, do you want to? I mean, I obviously messed up. Like, I hurt your feelings by something that I said, and then I was not making you feel heard because I was already like kind of like being like, this is ruined in my head. Like, I ruined it, you know, like he's doesn't even want to be with me. And like, rather than listening to the things that you were saying, I mean, like I was listening to what you were saying.
Right.
But that's what I was translating it as well too.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like hopeless, and like I had already ruined it, and like that, how can I even try? Because what if I mess up and then he's just going to be even more upset? Like, I was doing all this in my head, and I didn't realize that also is like, I did realize that avoidant people do that because I've been talking about it, but I didn't realize that how deeply that had been ingrained in me, and that I was still doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that the like convincing myself of something different was me still doing that avoidant behavior of like making it worse than it actually is, and like convincing myself that like it's already messed up, and like, why am I going to try? Because that'll make him more upset if I mess up, because I told him I'm not going to mess up. And how can I promise that? Because I'm a human and I'm going to mess up.
Right.
Like, all of that spiral is going in my head. And so I'm like, so it's so I already ruined it. You know what I mean? Like, that's ultimately what like my brain came to. And then I was just like, and I also like, that was happening. But then after really listening to you, I realized that I was also doing that with you as a person.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, well, in my mind, I'm like, well, he's going to do something to hurt me, or he's going to like betray me in some way. And I was treating you as if like you were the type of person that had already done that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because my brain convinced myself of that. And because honestly, I had already told you that I've like never really felt like I could trust anybody.
Yeah.
And that includes myself. And most avoidant people, they don't trust themselves either, because they've never felt like they could really trust anybody to not like let them down or hurt them or whatever. But I didn't realize that I was truly viewing you from that. Like, it felt like I was protecting myself from if you would do that to me.
Right.
But it was just already treating you like you had done that, and that's not fair.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm sorry for doing that. And look, everybody makes mistakes. I mean, like I said, we did a whole episode of avoidant behaviors, and I was still doing them. Like, I had worked through a lot of the surface level avoidant behaviors, but it does run really deep and deeper than most people think. And so, like, without you talking to me, like I mean, I still was perpetuating that in our relationship, even though I was trying not to. Like when I told you I trusted you, I meant that. But it wasn't true because I was not viewing you how you actually are and how you acted. I was viewing you from my fear.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so even though like mentally I did feel like I was trusting you and I do trust you.
Yeah.
It's like I wasn't actually.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, I think that's accurate.
And I don't think you can realize this unless you realize like the stories that you're telling yourself.
Right.
Or like the way you're perpetuating your past like hurt and trust issues or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because you're probably painting the person that you're dealing with in a way that is not even actually true. It's coming from your hurt and your trauma and your past or whatever you want to call it. And it's typically a habit. Like it's a habitual behavior. It's a habitual thought pattern.
Yeah.
Like you might not even realize you're doing it and you might think it's logical. You might think you're protecting yourself.
Yeah.
But you're not, like, not really. You're just hurting the person that is showing up for you for the first time in your life.
Yeah.
It seems like. And you're making them into the villain already. So.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's like, I was like, there's something off. Like, like you don't even know, because I don't know what's going on in your head, but I suspect that that's what's happening. And it's like, but then I'm like, I know myself because I show up every day. I wake up early. I do all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. Like I'm there. Like I know what kind of person I am. I'm like, I don't feel like the way that I'm, like just the slight way that the words are coming across sometimes, like that it's lining up with who I'm showing up as every day. And that, but it makes sense now, and I get it, but I think it's good. I mean, there's always going to be things to work through, and we work through them together. And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the realizations that you had, and and it was meaningful, very meaningful to me to be able to see you with the mask off, like really vulnerable. Which I feel like more and more of it's just disappearing, which is good because that's what I want, because I want you. And so I felt truly, truly heard. And I understand also. I think that's the thing is like, I understand why, right? It's not malicious. It's not like, it's just, it's a block that you couldn't see. And then we work through it and you're able to see it. And I don't have that block anymore. And,
well, and I just want to say too, like, people are probably thinking I said something nasty to you. Our things are very, if you heard how this all started, you would be like,
you would think like,
you'd be like, you guys had a disagreement or like, this is your guys' fight. It started from this.
It was
like,
from chocolate. It was from, we made Dubai chocolate bars from a kit, right? That I had bought. And then we were watching the movie, the Junior, Arnold Schwarzenegger, because Nicole is like, her great science invention was having a man have a baby. I'm like, there's actually a movie where a man has a baby.
And I had never seen it.
She had never seen it. I was like, wow, that's weird. So we had to watch that. But in the instructions on the thing, it said after you're done with it, to put the Dubai chocolate in the refrigerator, right? And chocolate and cheese in the refrigerator, like it's room temperature, it's best, right? So anyway, I think you said something about like that you put it in the refrigerator, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think that we should refrigerate it. Like there's none of the ingredients need to be refrigerated. And then you had said, well, the instructions say that it needs to be put in the refrigerator. And then I forgot exactly what the exact sequence was, but then I think I said, well, yeah, I don't think we'll need to put it in the refrigerator or something like that because none of the ingredients are refrigerated ingredients, so it should be fine. And then, but I got it kind of like, and then like I think you kept on repeating the same thing or kept on saying, no, well, let's refrigerate it. And then I was like, okay, let's pause the movie because I was really upset by the fact that I had said this and then it was like not being taken as like that,
I didn't trust you.
yeah, they didn't trust it. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and even if it's like, who cares about chocolate bars? Who cares? It's like, this is something that like is deeply important to me. And it might seem silly, like from the outside. That's why I'm trying to describe it in a way. And it is from the outside, but it
was the accumulation of all the
Yeah.
other things, and then it
It's
was
like a
just something
deeper-
small that set it off.
Yeah, it's a deeper thing that was like not about the chocolate or anything. It was like, you know, it's like for me too, I think for both of us in our relationship, when there's anything that we find that's off, you know, then we got to fix it. Like we got to get to the bottom of it and figure. And sometimes when it looks like, oh, it's just like, what is that little thing? And then you dig a little deeper and it's like this huge thing underneath, and you're like, oh, okay, then we'll definitely got to fix that. So, so that was one of those kind of issues where it was just like it pointed to something that was a deeper issue that we needed to address.
Yeah,
So,
no, definitely. And I'm glad that you told me about it, because like even during the initial part of our conversation, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm like, what did I do? I didn't like, you're like, you're disrespectful. I'm like, I just said it goes in the fridge. Like, I didn't even really get it, you know? And then, like you said, when we dug deeper, I was like, oh, like this is, and I probably wouldn't have really been able to uncover that without your help.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have someone to talk to about this, how am I going to uncover that I'm like painting you in this light with my own thoughts?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it was weird because like the way that you were answering about what I was saying was indicating a bigger issue than what I even thought it was. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I started to get really like worried. I'm like, okay, like this really is something. Because it came down to the perception of like how you're viewing me. Because I'm like, you don't really see me, like you don't really know who I am, like really know who I am, and it was true to a degree because you had like I mean
I painted a picture of
you thought I was an awesome, great guy. Like it's not like you had a negative, like a wholly negative, but you also had this veneer that was on top of who I was that was sort of blocking out the real me. In certain areas, right, and that made me feel like I was not seen or understood, but now I do. So
yeah,
well,
I'm glad.
I love you.
No.
All right.
Whoever thinks that it's bad that we sit so far away from each other is probably like, see, they can't even hug each other or something right now.
Yeah. Well.
But no, it's true. And I appreciate you so much for having the patience to go through this with me. And besides you not feeling seen, the other issue was that like I was already acting like it was ruined because I made a mistake, and that I didn't want to continue because I was afraid to make another mistake and that it would just blow it up anyway. So I was already like, I was making the situation worse than it actually was in reality, which, you know, I'm just putting all this out here in case other people recognize. Because again, you know, with the Avoidant episode we did, like people have to be so aware that they're avoidant. You have to really try to understand how that's like leaking into your life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't. I didn't. Not to this level even.
Well, and I think one thing that's maybe just like a general lesson that everyone could take from this, which is super important, which is that whenever you do something, quote, wrong, you're either going to do one of two things. You're either going to internalize and somewhat beat yourself up and like play some kind of scenario in your head about like how, like you're either going to look at how does this affect you or what does it say about you, and it's a you focused, or you're going to be focused on the other person that you did something wrong or hurt, and you can't do both. And so like it's a seemingly innocent mistake to be like, oh, to beat yourself up and to focus on yourself, but then you're actually not helping the person. Like, and it doesn't help you either, because then you spiral, then you say, oh, I ruined things and stuff like that. But if you shift your focus and be like, okay, how can I just actually provide aid to the person, the other person, then all that other stuff doesn't happen, like the internal monologue and all that stuff. And the problem is, but we all tend to do this. Like I've caught myself in that same situation. What do we call it? We call it shame. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And shame, it doesn't help the other person, and it hurts us even more. And so it's like we got to not get into that
shame spiral.
Yeah. Otherwise, because then it's like it's not because as you're going through that and we're having that discussion, I'm like, okay, but all the stuff that you're saying, it only hurts me more. It doesn't help me. It's like, if you're like, I've ruined everything and I should just like give up or whatever. Like, again, you weren't saying those exact words, but if that's kind of the sentiment, I'm like, well, okay, but that doesn't, like, that's not fixing anything. That's just making things worse. It's, it's
but
like,
I think we think that if we beat ourselves up, then the other person doesn't have to.
Exactly. We're in reality,
is not correct. Yeah. It's like you said, when reality is the other person just wants to feel like you care to fix the problem, like to care about them.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll
hopefully we won't have any more in segments. Knock on wood.
Hopefully not.
I mean they are stuff, for the good.
Yeah. If there's stuff that needs to be worked on, then hopefully we do have the opportunity to work on them. But I mean,
I agree about that. But it's like, just space them out. Don't like get them back to back.
Yeah. All right. You can check us out on the web at betterthanperfectpod.com. You can send us on the World Wide Web, if you want. Shoot us an email at betterthanperfectpodcast@gmail.com. And
like and subscribe, share.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.